Monolith. Everything you need to know. The whole map has been redesigned and so have the heroes. We've got new buffs, base movement speed is higher, new jungle routes, interesting cards, and crit and lifesteal have made a comeback. But let's start from the very top. Monolith has 3 lanes, the off lane, middle lane, and the safe lane. The off lane is where you face the enemy's safe lane. You'll often find yourself 2v1 and very CP deprived, while you should at least level faster than your enemies due to them splitting XP. Using a caster in the off lane is a good idea if you're not comfortable with a 2v1 scenario, but fighters can also work as well as heroes like Sevarog. The mid lane is the most fun lane in my opinion. It's the shortest of all the lanes, and here you ideally want to play a caster. You most likely 1v1 majority of the time, but will be subject to a lot of ganks due to how many paths there are into middle lane and because of how close the river buffs and amber link are to you. The safe lane is where you face the enemy's off lane. You'll be 2v1 and your aim is to farm CP as much as possible. You're right next to the gold buff, so securing this with your support when it is up is a good idea as it will increase your farm. Ideally you want to carry and support hero here. The jungle in Monolith is a whole new experience. It's actually a lot more fun. There's numerous buffs to get, white camp stacked till level 5 and the enemy's amber link has to be denied. The first buff a jungler has to get familiar with is the green buff or the jungle buff. This buff provides you with a shield and reflects a certain amount of damage back. I believe this is around 15 per tick. The buff expires when the shield is down to 0, at which point it explodes and deals area of effect damage, or when the duration of the buff is up. The next buff a jungler should have his eyes on are the river buffs. Along with your mid laner, you want to secure these as often as possible. The river buff spawns a random buff every life cycle. It spawns at 3 minutes and then every 2 minutes after that. The river buff does not stack and will remain there until killed. There are 4 possible buffs you can get from the river buff, however every river buff grants 35 mana regen for 5 seconds. The blue river buff grants movement speed, the purple river buff enters you into the shadow plane, the red river buff grants you increased ability damage, and the black river buff gives you a damage dot on enemies, and it's pretty strong. Along with your usual white camps that now stack to level 5 and actually feature more minions based on their level, there is also a raptor camp. This raptor camp is incredibly valuable. Each raptor is worth 1000 CP, which is a card level, and at most there will be 3 raptors. The raptors are quite strong, so doing them solo is a bad idea. Ideally you want to do them with an ally and give the farm to your carry. If your carry grabs a gold buff and then does the raptor camps, he'll gain 1200 CP because the gold buff grants 20% extra CP to last hits. Remember that buffs in Monolith are not dropped, instead they are given to the person who last hits them. I have videos coming soon with a more detailed look at the roles of the mid laner, off laner and the safe lane, as well as a jungle video with timings to help you out, but since this video contains a lot of information, I decided not to overload you all at once. Everything in Monolith happens quickly, and I mean really quickly. Animation times have been sped up ridiculously to compensate for the movement speed changes. Check out Steel's ultimate. It's near impossible to dodge. Your only option is if they miss or to blink out of it, and that goes for a lot of other abilities like Gideon's Cosmic Rift and Gadget Sticky Mine, as well as Grux's Pull. So what does this mean for you? Well, it means your positioning is more important than ever. If you're a carry, you don't want to be within a Grux pull range. You want to be behind your tank or frontline heroes where you can safely do damage. Depending on how you build as well, you can then decide on how aggressive you need to be. Casters are incredibly strong, but then rangers can definitely blow them up given the right amount of card power, while fighters are a constant threat to both. Rampage and Steel definitely shine in the right circumstances, and Sevarog is just ridiculously good, but that's more of a balance issue. The point I'm trying to make is you can do well with whatever hero you pick, unless you pick Iggy, because well, Iggy is kinda trash, and that's because he really doesn't fit anywhere. You throw him 2v1 against the enemy carry and support, well his turrets now award CP, so it's basically just feeding the enemy even more. You throw him in mid, well then he's just going to get poked out by a Gideon or Gadget. So this is one of the heroes the Epic will probably look at, so he has a place too on this map. Crit and lifesteal are back. You probably noticed this in the video footage so far, but yes, Boys and girls, it's back. The armor meta is dead, at least the way things are now. I love that crit and lifesteal are back. It makes carries so much more satisfying to play. You should ideally be building crit and lifesteal on your carries now, as well as maybe on fighters like Grux. I really do like lifesteal on Monolith because the jungle hurts quite a bit, and having that lifesteal for sustain is really useful. Crit bonus cards have all seen an increase in price, but don't worry, I'll have builds out very soon so that you can maximize your damage output. We also have a few changes that will have a big impact but don't necessarily warrant me rambling on for 2 minutes about them, so I'll just run down the list. Scouts wards now have 2 charges and refresh, same with all other wards. Wards work differently in Monolith though and only provide line of sight vision, but warding in Monolith is infinitely more important due to the amount of paths into lane and the vastness of the jungle. Card power is now earned in increments of 1, so creating a cheaper early game build and then swapping your cards out for more expensive versions is beneficial, especially for power spikes. There are also these cool jump pads that allow you to get into lane faster. There are 2 in your base and 2 in the enemies, but also 2 within the jungle. The jump pads in your base will deactivate when you lose a tier 2 tower. There are now these loot crates that can be earned in Paragon, as well as some chests which are coming soon. I have no idea how you'll get chests or if these are something you have to purchase. Loot crates require a key, something I don't have, so I have no idea what is in them. I'm guessing you probably have to purchase a key if you earn loot crates for free. Maybe they contain something to do with crafting. And that's really it. I thought this video would be longer, but at the same time a lot of information is hero or role specific, so expect the builds and guides to be a lot more informative. Hope you guys are pumped for Monolith as much as I am, and I'll have a Twin Blast build and guide out tomorrow so you guys can test out the new man himself. Let me know in the comment section below what hero you want me to cover next. I'm thinking maybe Murdoch. Smash that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys soon.